Hey, happy Friday. Okay, so you guys notice it looks a little different today. It's not just me today hanging out talking to you, but I am here with my friend Katie, and I'm really excited because I don't normally have other people on with me. You guys know we just kind of hang out and we chat about stuff that's going on to build your life, your business, all of that. But Katie and I spoke at a summit together. We did a summit where and we were trying to remember which one it was. I don't even remember which one it was, but we connected and got to know each other a little bit. And she works with moms to help their kids be able to cook and eat and be like healthy. And you guys know one of the things I joke about all the time is I did not realize, and Katie, you'll appreciate this. I did not realize that like becoming an adult meant that while I was in school learning things like US history and geometry and all of this, that a
Which you use
vital
all the time.
right. Like I don't need algebra for anything. Like I don't use algebra for anything. Right. But I did not know that a vital skill that I did not learn was that I was going to have to feed myself my whole life.
No.
And I was going to have to feed other people. Right. Like I feel like home ec should be a required class the way gym is because it was like, oh my gosh, I have to eat all the time. And then my daughter, you guys know, has like some food, stuff because of her cancer treatment and all of that. So food has always been a really big deal and
Mm.
healthy food. Like we're really into, the organic when we can and what we're eating and nutrition. And then they go off to college and it's like, what do they eat? They live on like ramen and Kraft
Mhm.
mac and cheese. And so Katie and I are talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love what you do. I need to share this with all my friends because a lot of you guys are like me. We have these kids who are college age or soon to be college age, and we don't want them eating Kraft mac and cheese and ramen. And so I'm excited for you to meet Katie and to hear about what she's doing. And she's got this really cool free gift. So I'm going to scan it across the bottom. She's going to tell you a little bit about it. But Katie, can you kind of explain to everybody how you got into like helping all our kids eat without, eating Doritos as their main meal?
Totally. But first, I have to tell you, in that free gift, it's a video series for moms, and you are quoted, but I didn't know it was you. You're starting to say that thing that you just said, like, nobody ever told me, like, I'd have
Oh
to
my
feed people my
gosh.
whole life. And what was I doing in gym class? So I totally use that.
I love
You're
it.
so
Oh
sweet.
my gosh. I say this all the time. And the worst question. So my partner and I, we look at each other and here, if you can't scan the QR code, it's healthy family, it's raisinghealthyfamilies.com. And when you just go to /Tara's voice, it's going to give you this free gift.
Yeah.
It's the worst question is when you look at each other and you go, what's for dinner? And I'm like, don't you say it. Don't you say it. Because it really is. And I didn't, guys, my parents are Irish. I was not blessed with like fabulous Italian parents or
Mm,
Jewish parents or parents who really like Hispanic parents who really cook. We made potatoes,
potatoes.
right? So this is not my forte. So Katie's going to save us here. So tell us, like, first of all, how did you get into this whole, I know you're the founder of Raising Healthy Families, but how did you get into all this?
I mean, it all started when I was pregnant with my first, because I was a hamburger helper, bottle dressing girl before that too, even though that's not exactly how I was raised. My mom cooked a lot from scratch. But in college, like you just kind of do what's faster and what's easier. And being pregnant was that wake up call. Like every bite I eat is building a new person inside of me. And then when he's born, oh, every
Ooh.
bite he eats is like ratio to an 8-pound body. Like it's a big deal, right?
Oh
And
my
so
gosh, wait, I've
that's,
never heard that term, guys. Have you ever thought about that? I never thought about that. Every bite I eat is building a person.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It felt very monumental to me. That was one of my first Google searches after we found out we were pregnant was, what do I eat when I'm pregnant? And so there was
Mm.
something inside of me that said, this is really important, to fuel my own body well. And so that was my turning point of heading into like what's healthy and what's not. And it's so confusing. It's so difficult for moms to balance our time and our money and our energy and feeding our family well and just figuring it all out. And so I'm a teacher at heart. I'm a teacher by vocation. And so as I was starting to feed my new growing family and spending a lot of time at the cutting board and burning some things and, throwing away whole meals because they're disgusting, I thought, how can I, like, my mind's always going, like, how can I help other moms speed this path and smooth this out? And so that's where my time online began. I started teaching moms how to stay healthy without going crazy. I was an old school blogger way back in 2009. And the kids cooking thing came out of that because my community kept saying, Katie, I really want to be healthy, but my mom never even taught me to cook
Yeah.
anything. So it was like 2 steps up the mountain. And I realized that if we're not comfortable in the kitchen generally as a generation, we're certainly not teaching our kids. And
Yeah.
so as a teacher and a mom, stepping into that gap felt like the perfect calling is how can I make this easier for moms to pass on skills that they feel like they don't have to their kids because we know it's so vital. As you said, it's one of I think it's the foundational life skill, as a matter of fact, because we do it every day,
Yeah.
multiple times a day. Everybody does it, whether you're a jock or a geek or a band person, like everybody eats. It's the great equalizer. And so we need to make sure that our kids and teens have these foundations before we leave home for so many reasons. And we'll probably get into that. I
Yeah,
don't want to
no.
go too
No,
deep,
I
but
love that, and
yeah.
I'm curious for you guys watching, like, I'd love for you to, like, kinda tell us, like, what was your house growing up? Because I was raised with a stay-at-home mom who had 4 kids, and so my mom did cook. Like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
preface, my mom cooked homemade meals every night, like, she didn't use processed food, all of that. And I remember my neighbor we were the same age, and in high school, she had to go home one day to cook dinner. And this just blew my mind that she would be a high
Mhm.
school student cooking dinner. I couldn't even fathom because my mom, we never cooked, which in
Right.
retrospect, I'm like, there were 4 kids. Why weren't we helping? But that just wasn't like I never did my own laundry until I went to
Mhm.
college. Now, guys, I raised Emily as a single mom. And when she hit middle school, she like with all of her food issues, right? Everything I would make, she would not eat. So if some of you
Mhm.
remember the summer she went into middle school and I was like, fine, you don't like anything I'm gonna eat, you're gonna do all the cooking. And so she would have to find meals and then make her grocery list. And she started cooking literally in 6th grade, right?
Wow.
But I feel bad that I did not really pass on skills to her to cook. Right. And now we have another one and she's a senior and she cooks, pretty good, but I don't feel like we're passing skills on to these kids
Mm.
that they're going to be looking at each other doing the same thing. Like, oh, shoot, what are we going to eat for dinner? So, what do you do that's a little bit different? Because I mean, obviously, I can be like, all right, I'll just give my kid a, cookbook and tell them to go make some food. So, what's different about what you do?
The cookbook path, I think, is a path to really negative experience in the kitchen,
Ooh,
which tells
interesting.
kids don't come back. This is hard work. Like our brains don't like hard things, whether we're adults or teenagers. And to just have a cookbook, but not have the, maybe it's 27 or maybe it's 5, depending on how complicated the recipe is, different skills that you need to actually complete that recipe well, the chances of failure are pretty high. Now, I'm a huge fan of
Interesting.
failure. I think we should definitely let our kids fail, but I don't think we should set them up for catastrophic failure at something that we really want them to have good positive feelings about because we want them to come back, and keep
Yeah.
doing it. So yes, like some kids can definitely be handed a recipe and get through it, but it's drudgery. It's
So tell us
tough.
about this free thing that you're doing, this Healthy Families. And guys, if you want, you can just register so you get access to it.
Mhm.
It is free, which I love. You guys know I love when you can like kind of test somebody out, right? Like this is why I give free gifts. You get to test me out and see, am
Yes.
I somebody that you're like, okay, this girl knows what she's talking about. I really want to work with her. So I like that you kind of get to test Katie out, see if she's your vibe, see if she's your jam, and it's totally free to do that. So tell me like, and I feel like I need this for me openly. I'm like, okay, I can follow a recipe, but like, oh my gosh. And you guys know I've been doing a lot of cooking. I'm sharing a lot of stuff because I'm on this like low inflammation, grain-free,
Mm.
dairy-free. So I'm following all these recipes. But when you talk about these foundational skills, I'm thinking I don't have foundational skills. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about this program that you're doing.
Well, I've always been a proponent of skills over recipes. Like since I started my kids cooking class 10 years ago, people will constantly they want to ask me on podcasts like, what are some good recipes to get kids cooking? I'm like, that's like the wrong question
Mm,
to ask. I cannot answer that because it's not about the recipes. It's about your kid or you having this toolbox of skills that they can draw from so they can make any recipe that sounds good. Right. And so that's actually what the free gift is a 3-part video series, very short, of me talking to parents of teens who are thinking, I want to make sure that my teen is ready to leave the house, is not living in my basement at age 26, and is feeling confident and independent by the time they're at that space. And I make the case that cooking is that foundational skill. I actually call it the gateway skill. That once they
mm.
learn a few cooking skills in the kitchen, that becomes your entry point to everything else from communication to finances to organization, planning ahead, and all your executive functioning skills. So we're just kind of walking parents through that and then how to motivate your teen because little kids are easier. They're kind of interested. And once they flip into teenagerdom, if they don't already have any like kitchen habits, or maybe they just like baking, that's super common. most people say, oh, like my kid, they love being in the kitchen, but they only want to bake. Like it's only muffins and cookies
Oh my
and
gosh, that's
cupcakes.
totally true.
And
Our senior, she's like cooking and I can't eat any of it because like she just made
Mhm.
this like apple crumble pie. I'm like, kid, you're killing me.
Yeah.
So
So they
yeah.
love baking. And so for
Oh,
teens, the
interesting.
motivation is very different. And so that's the whole second video is about the tip and the trick to pull them in through what they already like before they realize you're asking them to do something hard.
Interesting. So the when you say it's a 3-point video series, are you getting all 3 videos at once? Are you getting like one a day? How does it work?
Yep, you get one a day and then you have a couple days to catch up because mom's life, right?
Great. Okay. So guys, you're going to get these 3 different videos. They're going to teach you how to motivate your kids. They're going to teach you some basic skills that you can pass on. Do you think this is the kind of thing you should watch with your teen or you watch as the parent and then you implement it?
This would be you watching it as a parent. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Um, what do you think are like what are some of the changes that you see once parents go through these and they have these videos? How do you see that like translate into real life, the impact that it has in their families?
You know what's amazing, Tara, is I started teaching my kids to cook for really practical reasons because I do have 4 kids and I needed a little help. I was spending way too much time in the kitchen. And so that was like my practical selfish reason, but the practical giving reason was when they were 18, I wanted them to not feel I think like you felt when you were 18, you said I never did laundry, I never cooked, and so you had that huge avalanche of adulthood like whew,
Mhm.
whenever your first apartment was. I'm sure you were calling your mom like how do I make this?
Yeah.
How do I wash that? And I don't want that for my kids because it's really anxiety inducing. When we think about the human brain, we're very fearful of the unknown and we're very fearful of things. We're very anxious about things when we are not in control, right?
Mhm.
If something feels out of your control. So if you think about, let's take a 15-year-old, and if they start thinking about being in their first apartment and they don't know how to cook and they don't know how to clean and they don't know how to call for their own appointments or do some car maintenance, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
is very scary because they're going to feel like they can't do that thing. And it's even hard to imagine. So it's both the unknown and being out of control. We know anxiety is spiking in our youth. We about
Oh
one
my gosh.
third,
Yep.
yeah, one third of high school teens are clinically depressed and anxious, and many, many others have like serious depressive thoughts and anxious thoughts. And there's so many reasons for that. And we can, screens I think are a huge part, but I also think that the parenting style that does stuff for your kids instead of teaching them to do things for themselves can really increase anxiety because if something bad
Yeah.
happens, you don't have experience in problem solving. You haven't like exercised your muscle of resilience and your subconscious is sort of thinking, where's mommy?
Yeah. Oh my
Where's
gosh.
daddy?
And I have to say, Katie doesn't know me that well, but she is so speaking my language because you guys know I'm on a resilience soapbox. This is my soapbox that if there's only one skill you can give your children that will set them up for success in life when you are not here, it's resilience.
Mm,
And the only way you build resilience is by going through some pain, is by going through
mhm.
some hurt, right? And we've created very weak people
Yeah.
because we want to, and I get that. Like, I want to protect my daughter from the world, right? And it's interesting when we're talking about this because I'm like, okay, why are these skills lacking? And because I
Mhm.
had a stay-at-home mom. So part of me would say, well, I think I mean, let's be real. Like I was a working full-time single mom. I wasn't like, okay, honey, let's go skin that we're gonna cook together and enjoy this time
Right.
together. And let me teach you how to cook. It was like, okay, got to get this kid fed in among the other million things that I could
Right.
do. And so how many of you guys, and you can tell me here, like we did things like where you get the box, and all the food is in the box and then you just cook
Mhm.
out of what's in the box, right? And so you don't have to really have any skill because you're like there. But that's also very expensive. I mean, that was fine for
Mhm.
me to do with one child, but the cost of how many of you guys are feeling this? The cost of groceries, the cost of food is astronomical. And I think for a lot of families, when we talk about our food budgets, it's because we're not cooking, right?
Mm,
Like our food budgets are so big because we are doing these meal prep things. We're buying I can't tell you how many people I talk to that we're buying these either pre-made food, right? That's coming all prepared and you just stick it in the oven, or we're buying the boxes where we're cooking, but everything's already done for us. And those
right.
are a fortune, or we're just picking up takeout. I mean, I say this all the time because Jack does most of the cooking in our house. And I'm like, okay, it's my night to cook. I'm like, do you want to make reservations or takeout? Like, that's my real, I mean, legit, right? And so good thing I'm not young because, like, a young guy would be like, she is not marriage material, right? Like, I cannot keep you fed. But it's expensive. And so I
Yes.
think even having this, like grabbing this gift, even just for us,
Yeah.
because let's be real, when kids get out of college or when kids are in college or they get their first job, if they are eating out all the time, if they are buying all meal prep food, which if they do not have this skill, that is what they're going to default to.
Mhm.
They are going to be financially strapped. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, this is so much more than a life skill. It's setting our kids up for good financial success. And when our parents got married, they cooked. They
Yeah.
weren't buying Starbucks and takeout sushi all the time. That's how they created, right? So being able to cook, I think, is a really huge, huge deal. Like it's a health issue. It's,
Mhm.
when you eat out all the time, how many of you guys feel this way? I don't know, Katie, if you do eat out, but my daughter and I say this all the time. When we eat out, we actually just don't feel as good. And I love to eat
Mhm.
out. It's like my favorite pastime, right? But I don't feel as good as when I eat homemade fresh food.
Mhm. Oh, it's
Like,
so true. Yeah, I have a 17-year-old daughter as well, and she's constantly going out with friends and they're going to restaurants and she just doesn't because she has a particularly sensitive stomach and she can't do dairy. And she just said, it just makes me feel
yeah,
terrible. It's
yeah,
not even worth it.
because of
And you
all
talked
that.
about resilience. I mean, you will fail in the kitchen. Like you will burn some stuff. You might, like my kids have dropped an entire pizza into the bottom of the oven before it was baked. Like you will make messes. And the good thing is that like they're medium-sized failures, which is perfect. We
Yeah.
don't really want the huge failures. We don't want only small resilience practice, right? It's like
Yeah.
resistance training. You really want those medium-sized failures where they feel like kind of a big deal because you've wrecked dinner, but also you're in your own home. It's not their budget. Not that we want them killing our budget, but you know what I mean? Like we can handle a little bit of food waste in the honor of we're building our kids resilience, we're building their skills. And I loved we filmed all last summer teens cook real food. So I've been teaching kids for 10 years and I taught adults only for 7 years before that. So it was
Oh,
so
wow.
fun for me to take what I've done for 16 years, which is talking about the budget and the time, and begin to be able to thread that in because you don't really talk about that 12 and under. But I'm so honored to be that other voice, like most teenagers aren't listening to their parents super well, not 100% of the time. And so we need other adults to
Yeah.
speak wisdom into their lives. And so it was great. We have this whole segment called hunting and gathering, and that's meal planning and grocery shopping, modern day hunting
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
gathering.
love that. Oh my
And
gosh, I love
so
that.
I get to say
I
all
love
the
that.
time to the teens that wisdom that you just spoke about is that your income is not finite or is not infinite rather.
Right.
You will not have, infinite money, especially when you're just starting out. DoorDash is expensive. And what I told the teens is that
Oh my
knowing how to
gosh,
cook
yes.
actually gives you freedom. And meal planning, knowing how to meal plan actually gives you freedom because the feeling of like coming in from class or coming in from work at 5 p.m. and being like, I'm hungry. What is there to eat? It's not actually that fun because your only choices are convenience food at that point. If you haven't planned ahead, if you don't have meat, in the fridge or thawed or whatever, and you don't have vegetables around, you know what I'm saying? Like your
Yeah.
choices are actually very limited. Whereas if you know how to cook, you can still choose to eat cereal. But if you have those skills, those foundational skills we've been talking about, you can open the fridge and go, oh, I see, some green onions that are getting a little old. I see a cauliflower. I know I have some pre-cut meat in the freezer. I can actually throw together a stir fry in half an hour. Now I have choices. And if you've meal planned, you have even more choices because perhaps you've thawed your meat or perhaps you started an instant pot meal before you left home. And and so I think some people, even adults, look at meal planning like shackles. They look at it like budgeting. Oh, and that's going to, tie me to my budget or tie me to my meal plan. Not at all. It absolutely gives you freedom. And what do teens want more than anything?
Yeah.
They want freedom and independence. So I really strove to speak their language in this new course for teens where I'm like helping moms out, and
Yeah.
building those skills and speaking that wisdom of, here's how young adulthood might be like. Let's reduce that anxiety by imagining yourself in your first apartment. What are you going to need to know? Get ready. Then you
Well,
don't
and
have to be anxious.
it's interesting. So, like, we have a freshman, a senior, and a sophomore in college. And
Okay.
there's a part of a thought that, and if you guys have kids, because if you guys are my friends and we have kids who are the similar age, you kind of
Yeah,
get
yeah.
this, right? We're thinking, like, oh, kids in their first apartment, that's years from now. This is not something that applies to me. But let me tell you, my daughter went into an apartment, a sophomore in college.
Hmm.
Sophomore in college, she was in an apartment with a kitchen without a meal plan.
Mhm.
So she's not even 20 years old and she has to cook all of her meals. And so, she was like, we went, we went grocery shopping and she's like, can I freeze this? Like, how do I do this? Like looking at the meat, right? And she's like, can I do this? And she's getting, a little bit better. But I will tell you quite openly, guys, I worry that she does not eat enough of a balanced diet. We were just talking about this because she's like living on chicken and rice. And I'm like, kids, you need to have more variety in your diet. Um,
Like,
and
it's good it's not ramen noodles and frozen pizza,
right.
though. Like,
At
bravo
least
for
she's
that.
yeah, at least she's cooking, she is making, that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it was interesting, like, to see her be like, "Well, how do I store this? And how long can I store this? And can I do this?" And, it is this basic skill that,
Mhm.
Door dashing, when you said DoorDash, I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I door dashed the other night just because I was tired. I had just done stuff. Jack was out. I'm like, I need to eat. I really feel like I need this for myself, and I'm probably going to be judged by this. I feel like this is what I need for me. So if you don't have kids, I actually think you should take this anyway, because Katie does have stuff for adults. Just get connected to her. Some of us adults need her more than our kids do.
Aw.
Um, and I door dashed. Literally, I think I door what the heck did I door dash? I door dashed a burger. It wasn't even like something like a steak. And it was like $35 for
Yeah.
a burger. That, let's be real, guys, I could have made a burger, right? So I do think in today's economy, like that doesn't seem like a big
Mhm.
deal, but it's these small choices that can
Yeah.
really add up to impact a young adult's budget or an adult's budget, right? I also think one of the things you said that we didn't really touch on it, and I know we're going to kind of finish up, but when you're cooking for your family, and I didn't really think about this, but it is true. We're talking about kids and their confidence. And one of the
Mhm.
things that I think is lacking in our young adults is their confidence, is their resilience, is their ability that, like, I can do this. And I remember when Emily was little, talking to a friend who was a psychologist, and I was like, she's struggling with her confidence and her self-esteem. We had moved, she was in a new school. I was like, what can I do to help build her self-esteem? And my friend said to me, who is this, again, a psychologist, she said the number one way to build self-esteem in young people is to get them volunteering. Because when they
Mm.
volunteer, they feel important, they feel needed, they feel wanted, they feel like they make a difference. And so as you were talking about your kids cooking for your family, it kind of connected that to me that, if you have a child who's cooking for their family, they're not volunteering, but they kind of are. They're
The servant
volunteering to
heart's the
cook.
same.
Right. They're
Mhm.
serving. That's great. But maybe that's why it seems similar. It's they're serving,
Mhm.
and they're serving their family, and they're getting to hear their mom and their dad be like, "This is so good. Thank you so much for making dinner." And the
Mhm.
other siblings being appreciative of, like, you're contributing to our family. You matter. You make a difference. Like, we could not survive. We would
Yep.
starve to death without you. Like, these are things that make people feel good. And so a
Mhm.
16-year-old who feels, a 17-year-old who feels like I matter. Like, how many of us have kids that we want them to have a higher level of self-esteem? We want them to have a higher level
Mhm.
of confidence. This is so much more than just being, can I feed myself dinner?
Yeah.
It really is. So I really hope that, and if you guys have like friends who have teenagers or college,
Mhm.
go ahead and tag them
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this video. Tag those friends. Like, let's get a whole stream going. Let's share this with their moms. If you're part of a mom's group, comment. Katie, we can connect you with Katie. Maybe she
Mhm.
can come in and speak to your mom's group. If you have a Facebook group for moms, I'm sure Katie can go live in there and share
Yep.
this, or share this within the group. If you have an online moms group, I think what you're doing is really supporting us to be able to support our kids. And
Yeah.
that's what we all want as moms, right? Like, we want healthy, happy survival, like kids that are surviving, but that are thriving, doing well
Yeah.
in life, feel good about themselves. And if this is like one small skill that we can give them, that will set them up for success in life. Like, so simple. And I really wish I had met you when my daughter was a little bit younger, because I wish she was in high school, because I feel like this would have been really fun to be able to incorporate while she was still in high school. So I'm going to grab this, guys, because I want to see how maybe we can use this with like our freshmen.
Nice.
And yeah, and we were actually talking about that because for his Boy Scouts, part of it is like they have to cook for their family.
Yeah.
So yeah, for like some of these badges, he's on like track to do like the Eagle thing, like the big
Nice.
Eagle Scout. So I'm thinking maybe we're gonna take some of this and use it. So if you have sons, don't think they're out of this too. They need to be able to
Mm-mm.
cook.
No, I have 3 sons actually and only 1 daughter. And, I mean, just some of the greatest quotes, like my oldest son, when he was 15, he used to say that cutting vegetables was therapeutic. For a
Oh,
15-year-old boy, right? Like that, how insightful is that? And then my middle son, I remember when he was in elementary school, he would go, I bet no one in my class knows how to use a chef's knife.
Yep.
Like,
No,
that's confidence
totally.
right
But
there.
that's
It's so
totally true. I don't know how to use a chef's knife. Let's be real.
the last person who interviewed me said, "Wait, which one's the chef's
I
knife, Katie?"
know.
I was like, "It's okay. It's the big dog knife. It's a big one."
Oh, I didn't even know, literally up until a couple years ago, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to put your knives in your dishwasher. I was at
Oh,
my brother's house and I'm loading the knives in the dishwasher and he's like, "What the heck are you doing to my expensive knives?" And I was like, "I don't know. I put all my knives in the
I
dishwasher."
do teach that to the teens,
Yeah.
so they will
So
they're
even
smarter than
basic
you.
things like that, guys, you're gonna totally judge me now. I mean, I really was raised with a stay-at-home mom, but these basic things, and some of you know, if you've hung out with me long enough, if you've been on my page long enough, or you're my personal friend, in middle school or probably about maybe fifth grade, sixth grade, Emily started to go to summer camp for 1 week. Now I'm going to preface, single mom, living by myself. Like, right? My daughter goes off to camp, and y'all know, what did I live on for a week? What did I eat?
Cereal and ice
Popcorn and
cream?
wine. Literally. Popcorn and wine was my main food group for a week when she went to camp. And she would come home and I'd be like, "Thank God for my health. You're back now. I have to have food again."
Yes.
So again, I'm saying this isn't just for kids. Some of us, we needed to meet Katie when we were younger and we're trying to play catch up, but there's always room for catch up. So if you, and I'm assuming, Katie, if people connect with you, if they grab this, that they're going to be able to get other things that you do that are for
Yeah.
adults, that aren't just for like kids, right? Like,
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I support parents all the time. My podcast is called The Healthy Parenting Handbook, and I send a weekly newsletter that's just very much my heart stories, like you're sharing, like we're sharing here, and just how can we support each other? How can we have that like backyard over the backyard fence neighborly conversation that we're kind of missing in today's
I
world?
love that. So guys, comment, tag your friends, grab this. Um, if you're watching this on YouTube, all of Katie's contact information is in the show notes, so you can grab that way. If you're watching this on one of my social platforms and you want to connect with her, just tag me and I'll make sure you guys get connected. And I appreciate you taking your time to show up. I know, guys, this is a little different than what we normally do, but I think there's so much value in what you were doing for people, Katie. And I really think that it has the impact not just for the kids, but for their kids and their kids. And like,
Mhm.
this is generational legacy changing. Um, Kind of going back to what I think we needed, that we've gotten away from as moms are working and we're
Mhm.
busy and we have all this convenience food. And I don't know that that's necessarily helping us from our health, our families,
Mhm.
our mental health. And so what you're doing has such a huge value, so beyond just being able to cook a piece of chicken, you know.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on. And guys, I love, obviously, when people give you free stuff, grab it. Like, that's smart, right? Like, if nothing else, take these 3 videos, if
Yeah.
nothing else, right? And see. But I will see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your stories. Do you relate to any of this? Put it in the comments. And I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.